Today, we need to talk about something that's been weighing heavily on me. Starting in 2026, airport procedures have changed in ways that are quietly catching older travelers off guard. Not because these rules are designed to target seniors, they aren't, but because they impact older travelers first when no one explains them clearly. And I'm seeing the consequences play out at the gate. I've watched seniors arrive confident, organized, and on time, only to be told they can't board. Not because they broke a rule, not because they forgot something obvious, but because the system changed and no one warned them in plain language. That's the part that keeps me up at night. These situations are completely preventable. You might be thinking, I've been flying for decades. I know how airports work. And honestly, you probably do. But here's the problem. The rules you learned over the years are no longer the rules being enforced today. We're not talking about minor adjustments. We're talking about documentation standards, security expectations, and boarding procedures that are very different from what they were even 2 years ago. If you show up relying on old habits, you can run into serious trouble, delays, missed flights, or being told you can't travel that day. And when that happens, it's not because you did anything wrong. It's because the rules changed quietly, without clear warnings, and without anyone walking you through what to do instead. What I'm sharing with you isn't theory. This is real-world experience from someone who's worked the aisle, handed out that extra blanket, and watched what happens when passengers don't know their rights until it's too late. Just last month, I saw a 73-year-old man miss his daughter's wedding because his ID no longer met updated federal travel standards. He had flown his entire adult life. He had no idea anything had changed. The ticket agent wasn't being cruel. There was simply no flexibility. The door closed and the plane left without him. I don't want that story to be yours. If you want practical, no-nonsense travel guidance straight from the galley, the kind airlines don't explain well, do me a favor and subscribe right now. And tell me in the comments, are you over 70 or are you helping a senior traveler get ready for an upcoming flight? I read every comment and I build these videos around what you actually need. All right, let's get into it. I'm going to walk you through 11 critical things you need to know before you step into an airport in 2026. These aren't opinions. These aren't travel hacks. These are current requirements and procedures, and I'll show you exactly how to handle each one calmly and confidently. Let's start with the issue that's catching more people off guard than anything else. Number 1. The Real ID deadline. Here's what's actually happening. Beginning May 7th, 2025, you can no longer use a standard driver's license to board a domestic flight in the United States. Your license must be Real ID compliant, or you'll need an alternative form of federally accepted identification. This is where many older travelers get caught off guard. A large number of seniors renewed their licenses years ago, long before Real ID enforcement became a real issue. They'd been flying with the same card for nearly a decade, assuming it's still valid, and no one ever told them to double-check. From what I've seen working flights, this single issue causes more gate stress than weather delays. Passengers arrive early, confident, and organized, only to be told at security that their ID no longer meets current requirements. The confusion, the panic, the disbelief, it's painful to watch. So here's what you need to do today, not later. Take out your driver's license and look at the top right corner. Do you see a star, either inside a circle or cut into the outline of your state? That star is the Real ID indicator. If it's there, you're fine. If you do not see that star, your license alone will not be accepted at TSA checkpoints for domestic flights once enforcement is in place. That's not opinion, that's policy. Now don't panic, you still have options. A valid U.S. passport or passport card is always acceptable for domestic air travel. If you already have one, you can use it without any issue. But if you don't have a passport and your license isn't Real ID compliant, you need to schedule a DMV appointment as soon as possible. Not next month, not when you get around to it. Appointments are already filling up weeks in advance as more people realize the deadline is real. I remember a passenger named Margaret, 76 years old, traveling to meet her first great-grandchild. She arrived at the airport 3 hours early, followed every instruction, and did everything right. But her license didn't have that star. She wasn't arguing, she wasn't confused, she was just heartbroken. She missed her flight, had to rebook at her own expense, and lost precious time she can never get back. Don't let that happen to you. Check your ID today. Number 2, medical documentation. Let's clear up one of the biggest myths I hear at the airport. You do not need a doctor's note simply because you're over 70. Age alone is not a reason for airlines to require medical clearance, and they are not allowed to discriminate based on age. However, and this is important, there are specific medical situations where documentation is required, and those requirements became more structured toward the end of 2025. Here's the insider breakdown. If you require supplemental oxygen, rely on a wheelchair for mobility beyond typical airport distances, or have a medical condition that could reasonably require attention during the flight, the airline may require a medical clearance form to be completed 48 to 72 hours before departure. This process used to be more flexible. It isn't anymore. The form is commonly known as a MEDIF, Medical Information Form. Airlines label it differently in their systems. Delta may call it a special service request. United refers to accessible travel services. American Airlines often uses special assistance. Different names, same purpose. All of them are looking for one thing: confirmation from a medical professional that you are fit to fly safely. Number 3, prescription medication rules. This one catches people off guard more than almost anything else. As we move into 2026, TSA screening around prescription medications has become more structured, particularly for liquid medications and controlled substances. The goal isn't to make travel harder, it's verification. Here's what many seniors don't realize. While TSA does not prohibit the use of pill organizers, traveling with medications outside their original labeled containers can lead to additional screening, questioning, and delays, especially if the medication is a controlled substance. The safest approach is this: bring your medications in the original pharmacy-labeled bottles, with your name, the prescribing provider, and the medication clearly listed. That label is what allows TSA to quickly confirm the medication belongs to you and is legally prescribed. If you normally use a daily pill organizer, here's a smart workaround. Before your trip, ask your pharmacist for a duplicate labeled bottle containing only the amount you need for travel. Many pharmacies will do this at no extra charge when you explain you're flying. Keep that bottle in your carry-on bag, never in checked luggage. Bags get delayed, medications can't. Number 4, TSA PreCheck for seniors. Everyone talks about TSA PreCheck, and yes, it's great. Shoes stay on, belts stay on, laptops stay in your bag. It turns security into a much calmer experience. But here's what almost no one tells older travelers. If you're 75 or older, TSA already provides a built-in accommodation, even in the standard screening line. You're allowed to keep your shoes on and leave light jackets in place during screening. This policy has been in effect for several years, yet many seniors never hear about it. You don't need to pay for PreCheck to use this specific accommodation. If you're 75 or older, shoes stay on. If your belt has a large metal buckle, that may still need to come off, but footwear does not. Here's exactly how to use this properly. When you reach the front of the security line, calmly tell the officer, "I'm 75 or older and I'd like to keep my shoes on." That's all you need to say. TSA officers are trained on this policy and will guide you through the appropriate lane. This isn't a favor, it's an accommodation you're entitled to. Number 5, pre-boarding rights. This one matters more than most people realize. By federal law, airlines must allow passengers who need extra time or assistance to board before general boarding begins. Seniors are often eligible. But here's the issue. Airlines don't always explain this clearly, and many older travelers hesitate to ask. Let me be very clear, speaking from years in the aisle. We want you to pre-board. It's safer for you, easier for the crew, and far smoother than having you navigate a crowded aisle while dozens of passengers are waiting behind you. Early boarding reduces falls, prevents rushed movements, and allows us to help you properly. So what qualifies you? If you need extra time to get settled, if walking long distances is difficult, if you're storing a mobility device, or if boarding early simply makes the process less stressful, you qualify. Age alone isn't the deciding factor. Needing extra time is. And yes, many travelers over 70 genuinely do need that extra time. Here's exactly what to say at the gate. I'd like to request pre-boarding because I need extra time to get settled. That's it. You don't need to explain your medical history, you don't need a doctor's note, you don't need to feel awkward or apologetic. The gate agent will allow you to board during the pre-boarding phase, which typically occurs after active-duty military and families with small children. Some airlines call it priority boarding or courtesy boarding, but the result is the same. You board early at no extra cost. I once watched a couple in their early 70s wait until their boarding group was called. The husband used a cane, and by the time they reached their row, he was exhausted and struggling to lift their bag. One slip could have changed that trip entirely. If they had pre-boarded, we would have had the time and space to help them calmly and safely. So please, ask for pre-boarding. You're not slowing anyone down. You're allowing the process to work the way it's meant to. We're there to help you. Number 6. New mobility device screening procedures. If you use a cane, walker, wheelchair, or any kind of mobility device, this is one of the most important changes you need to understand before flying in 2026. TSA quietly updated their screening procedures in 2025, and I'm seeing seniors caught off guard every single week because no one explained what this would actually look like. Here's what changed. TSA now uses advanced screening technology for mobility devices. That means your cane, walker, or wheelchair may be scanned separately, manually inspected, or swabbed for explosive residue. This is now standard procedure. It's not a red flag, it's not because you did something wrong, and it is absolutely not personal. But when you don't expect it, it can feel invasive, confusing, and stressful, especially if no one explains what's happening. So here's exactly how the process works. When you arrive at the security checkpoint, tell the first TSA officer you see, "I use a mobility device and I need assistance." Say it early. Don't wait until you're already overwhelmed. They will direct you to a lane designed to accommodate you. Number 7. Wheelchair assistance. This one is critical, and I've seen it cause missed flights more times than I can count. If you need wheelchair assistance at the airport, you must request it when you book your ticket, or at least 48 hours before your flight. Not at the airport, not at check-in, 48 hours in advance. Here's why this matters. Airlines don't employ wheelchair attendants directly. They contract third-party companies, and those companies schedule staff based entirely on advance requests. If you show up needing a wheelchair and didn't pre-request it, you may wait 30 minutes or longer for someone to become available. I've personally watched seniors miss flights because assistance wasn't arranged ahead of time. Here's exactly what to do. When booking online, look for a section labeled Special Services or Accessibility Requests. Check the box for wheelchair assistance. If you're booking by phone, tell the agent clearly, "I need wheelchair assistance from check-in to the gate and from the gate to baggage claim on arrival." Number 8. Invisible disability accommodations. Not all disabilities are visible, and this is one of the most misunderstood areas of air travel, especially for seniors. Maybe you live with chronic pain, arthritis, breathing difficulties, anxiety in crowds, balance issues, or mild cognitive challenges. These are real medical conditions. They affect how you move, how you process stress, and how safely you can navigate an airport. And here's the most important thing to understand. You are entitled to accommodations even if you don't look disabled. Airlines don't advertise this, but under the Air Carrier Access Act, you can request extra time, priority seating, pre-boarding, escort assistance, or help navigating security, even without a wheelchair, cane, or visible device. The catch is this: airline staff can't read minds. If you don't say anything, they won't know you need help. Here's exactly what to say calmly and clearly. Let's do a quick recap of what we covered today. We talked about the Real ID deadline and making sure your license has that star. We covered medical documentation, prescription medication rules, and how TSA PreCheck works for seniors. We went through pre-boarding rights, new mobility device screening procedures, and exactly when to request wheelchair assistance. We discussed invisible disability accommodations, companion seating rules, traveling with oxygen or CPAP machines, and how to protect yourself during tight connections with meet and assist services. That's 11 critical things that can mean the difference between a smooth, confident journey and a nightmare at the airport. One final insider tip before I let you go. If you're over 70 and traveling alone, tell your flight attendant during boarding. Just a simple sentence. "Hi, I'm traveling alone today and wanted to let you know in case I need assistance." Why does this matter? Because if there's turbulence, if there's an emergency, if you need help reaching the restroom or retrieving your bag, we already know to check on you. We won't hover, we won't treat you like a child, but we will quietly keep an eye out. In my 15 years in the galley, I've seen that one small heads up make all the difference. You are the reason we fly. Your comfort and safety matter. These accommodations exist because you deserve them. You've earned them. Use them. Now I want to hear from you. What's your biggest concern about flying as a senior traveler? Security lines, long walks, medical equipment? Drop your answer in the comments below. I read every single one, and your questions shape these videos. If this helped you, please share it with a senior traveler in your life, your parents, grandparents, or a neighbor planning a trip. This information could save a vacation or prevent a serious injury. And if you haven't already, subscribe and ring the notification bell. I've got upcoming videos on free upgrades, what to do when flights are canceled, and crew secrets airlines never explain. Thank you so much for flying with me today. I'm Lucy, and I'll see you in the next video.